Valve claims the Steam machine is more powerful than 70% of all gaming PCs out there. And while this may certainly be true, the big question is, will Valve bring the Steam machines to the rest of the world? But before that though, if you like this video or any other videos on my channel, please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. Spreading the good gospel helps me in the long run. And if you're looking for more content, be sure to check out Off the Console. It's a podcast started by me, Gardner Bryant, and Games Revealed. And of course, we talk about the latest gaming news and, well, actually not just gaming, but also multimedia as well. Feel free to check us out on YouTube in video form, or if you prefer an audio form, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever apps you use for your podcasts. Episodes typically release on Mondays. For those who don't know, Steam hardware is only officially available in certain countries. The United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Europe, Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Oh, and Australia. But you may be asking yourself, how is this relevant to the discussion we're having today? Well, the Steam hardware surveys are conducted worldwide. And that's not like one or two people in like a third world country or anything like that. It's a substantial part of the world that Valve is taking into account and that Valve is not selling to. For example, if you look at this population map right here, you'll see the outskirts of Brazil are very populated. I mean, you can see right here, there are plenty of Brazilian gamers out there on Steam. And furthermore, if you look at the language breakdown in the Steam hardware survey, you'll find that Brazilian Portuguese is fairly high, all things considered. Higher than some of the usual suspects like French or German or Japanese. Of course, it's only 4th on the language chart, being behind English, Simplified Chinese, and Russian. So you might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with anything? Well, if you recall, Valve said that this is more powerful than 70% of all gaming PCs out there. But of course, this includes the entire world. The one thing that really irks me about the Steam hardware surveys is that there is currently no way to separate the hardware surveys by region. Now, of course, I'm sure if you actually live in a different country, you'll be using that language instead of English. But of course, you could also set your Steam language to a different language altogether, and that would count. So I'm not really sure if language is a super accurate indicator, but I think it should be taken into account no matter what. Now, I don't want to be all geopolitical on you guys, but one really does have to wonder. If we only took into account gaming PCs that exist in all of the areas that Steam does sell hardware in, you know, North America, Europe, and some parts of Asia, oh, and Australia too, would the Steam machine be more powerful than 70% of all of those PCs in those regions? Maybe. It may be more powerful than more of them, or maybe even less of them. I don't know for certain. And this stuff does matter because I would like for more people around the world to be able to get the Steam Deck. But it's difficult for them to do so because the value proposition gets flipped upside down once you go to a region that doesn't have the Steam Deck, officially speaking. Compare this to like Asus, where they're available in more countries around the world. And you'll find that in some cases, it might be cheaper to buy that $1,000 ROG Xbox Ally X in that region than it is to buy a Steam Deck in that region because of importing and all of that stuff. Crazy, isn't it? The value proposition for any of this is ultimately relative to whatever country you live in, and truth be told, if you live outside of a region where Valve ships to, then you're never going to see the Steam machine or the Steam Deck or the Steam controller or the Steam frame at MSRP. You're going to see them at much higher prices because people have to import them from countries around the world. Importing a device will always be more expensive than being able to buy that device in your country. Unfortunately, it seems like Valve hasn't made too much progress. The last time we saw any progress with any regions getting any Steam hardware was Australia, and that was over a year ago at this point. I understand logistics are hard, but I'm sure Valve has the data to show that some people in those other countries, like, you know, South America or Africa, may be interested in having some Steam hardware. I'm not sure how they could show that. I mean, they could talk about it, but those are ultimately anecdotes. I think people want hard evidence that people in these countries want Steam machines. I do understand that the higher the MSRP of the Steam Machine is, the higher the cost is for those outside of the, regions Valve delivers in. And I get it, logistics and delivery is hard. You have to find a trustworthy company to actually distribute your devices. And sometimes that can be difficult. It took a year for Valve to find a company that was willing to ship Steam Decks to Asian countries. Komodo. Truth be told, I wouldn't know how to begin solving this issue because logistics are very much out of my wheelhouse. And Valve put so much emphasis on reading the Steam hardware surveys when making the Steam Machine, and it really makes me wonder if Valve knows how much of this data comes from outside of the regions they sell in. If we were to look at the Steam download bandwidth, you can see that North America comprises most of the bandwidth used on Steam, followed by, of course, Asia, and then followed by Europe, and then South America. South America comprises a significant chunk of Steam's traffic, almost as much as the entire European continent as well. Of course, if I were Valve and Gabe Newell and I really did want to expand to a new region, I think South America is a safe bet. Now, truth be told, I don't really know what the average gaming PC looks like in South America, but I do know that buying PC parts in South America is fairly expensive because they have to import, and a lot of South American countries, from what I understand, have some pretty high import tariffs, so yeah. I could very well imagine the Steam Machine being a big hit in South America, but again, I don't know for certain. Valve would have more data on that than I, so who knows. So what is the moral of the story? Well, the moral of the story is that we know that Valve wants to expand beyond what they have right now, and they've been trying to do so, albeit kind of slowly. But I think a big push into a new region is what the Steam Machine needs, especially in regions where buying new parts may not be so accessible because they're far more expensive than you can imagine. And that's on top of it being already pretty expensive in America to buy some graphics cards, or RAM for that matter. Remember the whole worldwide RAM crisis that's happening all over the world as well. And let's talk about importing the Steam Machine. Even if the Steam Machine were that mythical $500 price point that everyone wants, including myself, it certainly wouldn't be $500 if you had to import it from another country. And depending on what country you live in, it could be more expensive than some more powerful gaming PCs. That said, if you do live in one of these regions and you have a friend in a nearby country, let's say you live in Brazil and you have an American friend, maybe he could ship a Steam Machine to your house and it probably wouldn't be as expensive. I mean, truth be told, you would have to figure out the logistics yourself. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos. And if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.